and welcome to this Thursday session. It's Thursday, the 7th of September, 2023. And today we have a guest, the lady by the name of Vanessa Rath is with us. Let me just give you a brief introduction of who Vanessa is. Vanessa's got over 15 years recruitment experience she toned her experience in the tech industry. In 2019, Vanessa launched a sourcing training business, and she's been constantly challenged and fulfilled doing just that. Vanessa's passionate about elevating the standards of sourcing globally, and she launched an online academy to train recruiters and sourcers how to find the top performing talent out there. Vanessa, thank you very much for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for inviting me to be here. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. Thanks for being here, especially when I hear the weather's so good in the UK. So if you're in the UK, I appreciate it.
Not at all. Excellent. But listen, before we just kick off, can I just do a quick tech check? Can you just give a yes that you can hear my voice and Vanessa's in the box, please, so I know everybody can see and hear us. Can you give us a yes? You can see and hear us. Hi, Perry. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Paul. Hi, Richard. Matt. Yeah, it seems to be, yeah, everybody's serious. Vanessa, I'm going to stop talking now, much to everybody's relief, and hand over to you.
Fantastic. Okay, so let me just start by sharing my screen, and I can kind of address what we are talking about today. And we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of talent sourcing, finding the best people, because that's going to ensure that we make loads and loads of placements. That's what recruiting is all about, right? So before we get started, we're just going to quickly use Slido. So I want you to grab your smartphone, grab your camera, scan the QR code. Let's find out where everyone's dialing in from. The nicest thing about Slido is that it's completely anonymous. So you can go and vote, and you can tell me whatever you want, and I'm going to believe you because I'm just that kind of person. But the first question is pretty simple. What is your closest city? Okay, good. Getting people coming in from the UK. As I say, I appreciate it when the good weather. We've literally just started spring, and we also had 30 degrees today, so it's been a warm one. Okay, good. Seeing lots of votes coming in. This is a great tool. I use it for all of my training and presentations. Some folks from LA. Good morning. Barcelona. Excellent. Very diverse audience. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. And my next question is, how many years of experience do you have in this crazy recruitment industry? What are we looking at? We're not going to give away anyone's age. That's why we keep this anonymous. Because there's some people here that have a few more years than others, I would think.
Yes, Don.
That was rude. Mark, go to the naughty corner. Okay, good. So we've got quite a nice range. Most people got more than 10 years. Fantastic. So what you're going to see this session is today is about getting back to basics. I actually presented on something very similar yesterday. Yesterday was Global Talent Acquisition Day. So happy Global Talent Acquisition Day to everyone. And I presented at a conference out of the States about a similar thing. But before I get into what we're talking about, a quick introduction. I'm a global talent sourcing trainer. I train teams all over the world. I love it. Not really the early mornings training to Australia or the late nights to North America, but I do love the diversity of who I train. I'm still active in the sourcing space, so I feel your pain when you get to the point of I can't find people or no one's answering my emails. I know exactly how you feel. This year, I've been really busy building my online academy, which you're welcome to go and check out. I've got free courses on there because I presented so much during COVID that all of those presentations were going to waste. I'd love to share them with you. So please go and have a look. And at the moment, I'm currently in Johannesburg in South Africa, and my superpower is definitely my ADHD or ADD in high definition, as I like to refer to it. And then you've got to have some side hustles these days, don't you? So I do a lot of keynote speaking. I'm off to Amsterdam next month to do a keynote at a sourcing summit. It's going to be really good. If anyone's in Amsterdam and you want to know more, just send me a message. I'll help you out. And when I'm not working, I spend a lot of time in the South African bushveld taking photos. So I really enjoy that. Now, today is all around my sourcing philosophy, and literally in my 17 years experience that I've got in the sourcing space, recruiting space, I've managed to narrow it down to 3 things. And if you can master these three things, and with all of your experience, all of the people on this call, I mean, over 10 years, these are hopefully just going to be really good reminders or an indication of how the recruitment world has changed. So if you can master these and your teams can master these, you guys are going to smash it. You really are going to be very successful. And I am going to expand on these later. So I'm just going to give you a brief introduction. The first one, it's all about your digital footprint. So it's all about, are you standing out? The recruitment's a noisy place. There's lots of people on LinkedIn. Are you standing out? And when your passive talent goes to Google you to go and see what you're all about after you're trying to headhunt them, what do they find? When was the last time you Googled yourself? The second thing, every team that I train anywhere in the world always starts with, where are you currently finding talent? And everyone comes back with the same two answers. I bet you can guess what they are. LinkedIn and local job boards. So the problem is we're all fishing in the same fishing ponds, right? Yet we've got this whole beautiful thing called the internet at our fingertips, where we can go and find unique candidates, candidates that aren't suffering from recruiter fatigue or anything like that. And we can start talking to them, but we don't, because we don't look in the right places. And the third thing is all about our messages. So when we're reaching out to passive talent, what are we saying? We've got one shot. Let's not spoil it by using the same template, just hoping that the person's going to respond because we spelt their name right. Okay, it goes a lot deeper than that. It's all about forming a human connection. So let's expand on these points a little bit, and we're going to start with point number one. We're a small group today, so if anyone's got any questions, pop them into the chats, put your hand up, let me know. I'm happy to answer as we go through these. So the first one, it's all about having a digital footprint. So I've never met Terry. Terry found me online. I was obviously being noisy somewhere. I hope you found me online somewhere, Terry. I'm not too sure.
Indeed, yeah.
There we go. And here I am working with him and presenting to you lovely people, all because I have an opinion and I stand out online. And it's so easy to do. It's not about being arrogant. It's not about being boastful. It's literally just about having value to add and being consistent when you're adding that value. So if we have a look at this graph over here of the most popular social platforms, you can see it's really interesting. No surprise, Facebook #1, followed by YouTube and a whole lot of other platforms. Now, the concern that I have with some people is that they only focus on building a brand on LinkedIn, if that's where they build a brand. But if you have a look here, LinkedIn doesn't actually feature. So we've got to start thinking a little bit differently about LinkedIn. Not only is it really expensive, but is everyone there? So when we only go and look at LinkedIn, are we really finding the best candidates to put in front of our clients? So yes, we have to build a brand because recruiting is so much easier when people are attracted to us. So for example, if you have a brand out there and people say, Vanessa, I love what you're talking about. I love what you do. I would really love to you to represent me. I'd really love to partner with you. Isn't that your easiest placements? They're quick, they're fast. You're not trying to get the candidate to leave a job that they're really happy in. It's a lot easier when you're attracting talent to you. But it's all about where are you doing that? And where are you consistently turning up, which is really important. And this is something that I found that recruiters battle to do. Another good reason to have a really good online brand is because where you're going to be cross-referenced. So for example, let's make a quick change here because we know Twitter is no longer known as Twitter, it's X. But when you send someone an email, you automatically assume that they're going to cross-reference you on LinkedIn because that's a professional network, isn't it? That's where you spend all day, every day. But actually, most of the time, people go and look for you on Facebook. And the reason they do that is they want to see mutual friends. They also want to look at you maybe on Instagram. Maybe it's their preferred platform. What about just running a Google search on you? So when was the last time you Googled yourself using proper Boolean, putting speech marks in? Have you guys done that recently? What have you found? Let me give you a minute to go and Google yourself and see what you come up with.
Yeah, while we're doing that, if I can just go around the room, I'd love to just get some feedback from a few people.
Sure.
Ashley, I'm going to come to you first of all. And yeah, Ashley and Mike, just for your thoughts, feedback, and observation so far. So if I can start with you, Ashley, while the rest of you are Googling yourself.
Yeah.
Ashley, any thoughts, feedback?
Yeah, so the only platform other than LinkedIn, obviously your usual CV searching and job boards that I use is Facebook and Instagram for candidates. But I also do look up clients, but I don't utilize any of the other ones.
Interesting.
So
Excellent.
the thing is that you don't know where you're going to be cross-referenced. So it's an interesting analogy. Thanks for your honest feedback, Ashley. I'm going to explain a little bit more about other platforms depending on the industry we're recruiting in. And remember, I just want to put a big disclaimer out here. I don't want you to start using your personal Facebook and Instagram to post jobs, to connect with clients, to follow candidates. That's not what it's about. It's just utilizing that bio on those platforms to say, I'm a recruiter, I'm a talent acquisition specialist. So people know that the email they've received hasn't actually come from an AI robot. It's a real person who's going to want to talk with them.
Good point. Mike, I'd love to hear your thoughts, feedback, observations.
Yeah, this is really insightful, Vanessa. Thank you. One of the questions I have is, if you look at that list of social media platforms, and there's stuff on there I've never heard of, LinkedIn not ranking there. And LinkedIn, I don't think most of us use here as our main platform for winning new clients, for connecting with people, and for following up, and connecting with somebody, taking them through a process for them to ultimately become a client. I'd just be interested in your view in terms of working at a senior level across my sector, the usage of the likes of Facebook and some of the other things you've got on there by senior executives, and if they are likely to be on those platforms.
So Mark, judging by the fact, and it's a very good question, that 3 billion people are on Facebook, they're going to be there. I have no doubt about it. There's way more people sitting on Facebook than there are on LinkedIn. People are nervous about it because Facebook is seen as the personal profile and LinkedIn's a professional profile. Remember what I said. You're not adding someone to your network on Facebook. You're not going to add like a senior client to your personal Facebook profile. You're just going to find them there. And the problem is at the moment, we always start and end in LinkedIn. So we don't know who's not there because we don't look anywhere else. But are we finding the best candidates because we're looking at literally a platform that doesn't even exist here? And don't get me wrong, LinkedIn's great. I mean, it's been around for 20 years. It went mainstream 20 years ago. I still remember getting asked the questions of, are you on LinkedIn or Facebook? Because it was almost like you had a choice. You couldn't be on both. But now, look at you. When I get to the next point, I'm going to show you all the different platforms that are out there. People don't necessarily go to LinkedIn. It's full of recruiters and HR people. And you know that because you look at the posts. Who on there is like is it anything else that's trying to create a brand but recruiters? So if you're only creating a brand on LinkedIn, are you trying to just attract recruiters? So in my situation, that's why Terry found me. You guys are completely my target audience. I want to get you through my online training academy. So it's beautiful. But if you are looking for technical experts or people in the construction or the healthcare space, they don't sit in front of a laptop all day. So why would they build a LinkedIn profile? But they are going to be on Facebook because they need to keep up with their family and friends.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Insightful. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just going to come to one more person. Matt, I'll just come to you, then I'm going to come back to you, Vanessa, because you've got some really good points here, sort of thought-provoking. Matt, would love to get your thoughts, feedback, observations, any questions as well, Matt?
Yeah, I just think it's it just makes you think, and to put all this time and money into LinkedIn, and potentially we're missing a big chunk of people, aren't we? That could be on other sources. So I'm just intrigued to see, hopefully some ideas are going to be shared about how we can utilize these other platforms to find these people that we're missing.
Yeah, so how do we use other platforms to find candidates? Good question. Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Matt. Vanessa, back to you.
Perfect. So just to finish on this one, let's talk about what Matt was talking about. If you're only looking on LinkedIn, the elephant in the room, a lot of money, how do you search on the other platforms? Well, to be honest with you, I actually search on all platforms the same. It all boils down to being able to write a really good Boolean search string and then to use that to X-ray into other platforms. So if it sounds like I'm suddenly talking Hebrew to you, Boolean is a way that you can pick out keywords from role descriptions. You can put it into almost a sentence with a whole lot of operators, and you can use that to X-ray into any platforms. But my best advice with LinkedIn is, guys, build a brand. Because it's when people, before they even chat to their partner and say, I've had enough, I'm changing jobs, I'm putting myself on the market, behavior shows they will visit LinkedIn more. And it's at this time that you have to be doing something on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be your main place that you're building a brand or growing a community or a network, but you have to have something there. So LinkedIn is great for having a global brand. Here I am in South Africa, and present all over the world because of that brand that I have built. Same thing goes with recruiting. You know, you can build a brand and you can get clients and candidates all over the world, which is the way recruitment's going anyway. It's going global. So as mentioned, candidates spend more time on LinkedIn before they put themselves in the market, and you've just got to speak their language. So it's pointless going on LinkedIn and doing a whole lot of posts about recruiting unless you're doing rec-to-rec recruiting. You know, if you are recruiting for people in the supply chain space or the marketing space, talk about those things. Mark, I'm coming to your question next, but my best advice when it comes to getting a little bit more visible on LinkedIn is always aim to post 3 times a week and not just regurgitate jobs, not just share jobs from your company page, literally add value to the community and network that you are trying to foster and grow. Mark, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you, and it echoes a lot of the stuff that Terry teaches. When you say build a brand on LinkedIn, I build my own personal brand, not my company brand.
And you know what? I do exactly the same. And
Okay.
the reason for that is because people form a better connection on LinkedIn and a lot of the other platforms with you, the human being.
Okay.
Who's Merrick Consulting at the end of the day? They like Mark. Okay. And that's why it's actually better to go with, if you're running your own business, you're a solopreneur, go with your name. And it's a good name in the industry, especially if it's well recognized.
Okay, thank you.
So you're doing the right thing.
Just very quickly, if anybody else has got any questions, please type them in the chat box. If you've got any questions as Vanessa's going along, just type them in the chat box and we will
I'm about to
come
finish
you.
point number 1, and then I'm going to open up the floor for questions. This is the last slide
Excellent.
of point number 1 about your online brand. And this is your social selling index. Now, LinkedIn doesn't give us much for free, but this is something it has given us for free. So if you take this link, you type it into a new tab next to your LinkedIn, it's going to give you a score out of 100. Now, you want that score to be above 75. And the reason why you want it to be 75 and above is because when it's 75 and above, LinkedIn helps you. It realizes that you're an influencer. It pushes your posts. It's going to appear in more people's news feeds, and you're going to get a lot more traction on your posts. And it even tells you, with these 4 components of your score, it even tells you how you can get better, how you can improve. It changes once a week. So I really do encourage you to go and check it once a week. And I've put a question here in Slido in case anyone wants to answer anonymously. But if not, I'd love to hear from you. From what I've just spoken about, you know, what do you think you could be doing better to stand out from the competition? So you can either put it in the chat, you can answer on Slido, you can unmute yourself and tell me. But do you think that you may be missing a trick with your branding?
I've just got one question before that. Adonis, I'm going to come to you with your question. Then I'm going to come to you next, Holly, because Adonis has got a question slightly off what you've asked there, Vanessa. Then I'll come to you, Holly, for your feedback. So Adonis, if you want to open up your mic, buddy, and ask your question.
Yes. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate the
you.
content you're providing. I think it's really insightful. Just wanted to ask you a quick question. I know many of us recruiters are on LinkedIn and probably have been told at some point in the past that if you try and recruit from any other platforms, you're going to get a lot of people that are not the highest pedigree of professional. Now, this may be a complete myth, right? This could be something that we've been indoctrinated to believe, and it's entirely false. I work specifically with sales executives and trying to recruit them. How do you personally evaluate quality of talent? Because obviously our clients are very picky and they don't just want anybody, right? And so the reason LinkedIn has worked so well for me so far in terms of when I actually do get roles is because there's a lot of information on that person's work history. I can kind of see, like, from the outside looking in, like, this person's really good, like, at what they do. How do you do that on Facebook?
Well, to start with, you're very lucky because salespeople are all over LinkedIn. I mean, how many times you connect with someone and they immediately start trying to sell you something? Okay, because it's like us, second to recruiters, salespeople are there a lot. To be honest, I don't think that the best people are necessarily always on LinkedIn. And what I want you to start thinking about is, what is the most up-to-date version of truth? Someone changes jobs, okay? Is it their first priority to change LinkedIn? Bearing in mind their email's probably changed. I don't know if you've tried to change your password with LinkedIn, if you've changed your email, but it's probably easier to split the atom. But they're going to update their Facebook because they want their friends and family to see that they've changed jobs. So even if I find someone who's really excellent on LinkedIn, I'm never going to reach out to them without Googling them, without looking at them on Facebook. Because how do I personalize my reach out if I don't know the person more holistically? Because we're very restricted to what we see on LinkedIn. It's all work related. But if I want to sign off and say, I'm going for a run now because I see that he's a runner, and yes, I do run. I'm going for a run to try and get that personal thing in, or I'm going to do the school run. I see he's got kids. I can throw that in here because I'm trying to make a human to human connection. I can't do that on LinkedIn from what I've seen on LinkedIn. So I think that it's difficult to tell, where you get the most amount of information. For example, if I find a software engineer on GitHub, I get more information about his coding skills because I can look at his code. But then, yes, I do need to go to LinkedIn because even if he hasn't been active there for 5 years, when he joined LinkedIn, he probably told me what he studied. But his job's usually 3 positions outdated when I search that way. So it's all about doing more of a holistic search of all of your candidates before you reach out to them. Because just looking at one version of truth doesn't always give you a clear picture of what you're dealing with.
Okay.
Good. So more
Yes.
platforms than LinkedIn, good. Sharing industry news and articles, yes. Speak to your community, speak to your network, feed them. And also comment on other posts and add value. 100%. These are all good messages over here. Know who your competition
Vanessa,
is. Yeah.
sorry, Vanessa. Can I quickly
Yes.
just come to Holly? Just
Yes.
for your thoughts and feedback, then I'll hand back to you, Vanessa. Holly?
Hello.
Hi.
So yeah, I think a big turning point for me this year has been being involved in an industry specific network. So I recruit into the utilities space, and I've joined in a voluntary role for a not-for-profit called Women's Utility Network, which focuses on more women that are thriving and staying
Great
in
initiative.
So that's working really well because I get free tickets to events through it for the effort that I put in. I am getting exposure to a lot of like board level execs, being able to interview and podcast them, which I'm then trying to translate into talking to them about different topics and bringing them into the Douglas Jackson podcast world. And I think that's where it sort of adds value. And I've just interestingly had a quick look at my SSI link, and I'm on 81 out of 100 and in the top 1%.
Right.
So it's obviously doing something
Excellent.
right. But
Well
I
done,
think
Holly.
100%.
thanks. But it's just a bit of like a think outside the box. Is there a problem or a challenge that's talent wise in your industry where you could perhaps be getting involved in something similar that might again put you, like, people, I hate saying things like this, but people will say to me when I talk to them, like, the perception of me in the market is head and shoulders above my competition because I'm doing all these extracurricular things, and the ROI is starting to come now.
100%. I run a Facebook community group, and I have got over 4,000 talent sources on there. It's called the Talent Hunters, if anyone wants to join us. And every morning at 6 o'clock, it's kind of like programmed, a post goes out that's interesting in the talent sourcing space. And what I'm doing is I'm feeding and I'm growing a community or a network. So think about your industry niche. I mean, how do you keep in touch with people? Sure, you're probably going to turn around and tell me you've got a CRM or an ATS, which, let's face it, is similar to a graveyard if you're not keeping in contact with people. But imagine you had an active live community, like a Facebook community, and you're posting polls and you're encouraging discussion and you're just encouraging posts. Wouldn't that be far more effective than having someone sit in your CRM and say, yeah, I know them, but they haven't heard from you in months or years even. So it's all about how are you attracting people. And Holly is positioning herself as the go-to person in the utility space for females. Holly, that's genius. It's amazing. Well done. And that's exactly the way to do it. You haven't just restricted yourself to LinkedIn, because I don't think that, you know, a lot of the people that you're dealing with in that space have time to sit down and make a LinkedIn profile. So well done. I love it. Adonis also has got a comment, is that he likes to connect with his executive candidates over the phone. And I'm not taking away from the phone. It's our most powerful weapon. It's very underutilized. And I encourage you to use it as much as possible. So well done. Be loved. I love that. So can I move into point 2 now? And then we can have a discussion about that. Great. Okay. So now it's all about where you're searching. So we've mastered the online brand. When people check us out, when we message them, we look good online. Now, where are we looking? Because if we are still putting adverts out there, relying on spray and pray, we're literally only capturing the attention of 30% of the workforce that are going to see the advert, not even just respond. Okay. So if you go and actively headhunt or actively talent source the right people, your strike rate is going to be higher, because your client has given you, hopefully you've got up front 5 non-negotiables. Now, when you post an ad and you get ridiculous amounts of ad response, which is happening in our global economy at the moment, by the time you've looked at your 50th CV, your eyes are like going numb. You're like, I'm just going to take the best of a bad bunch, because really I can't do this for the whole day. And you put forward candidates that maybe tick 3 out of the 5 boxes, right? But if you were to go and find exactly what the client said to you, so if you say to the client, would you like them to have any qualifications? And they just say, yes, any degree will do. Find out exactly what degree and which university. Because if your client's got an MBA from Oxford, it's the best MBA in the world in their eyes. So go and try and replicate whatever they tell you. And that's a non-negotiable that you can go and find out in the marketplace. So it's pretty much you submitting a better quality of candidate that, you know, that the client is really, really keen on. It's going to be a much smoother process. And I use a fishing analogy here, even though I'm not a fisherwoman, and it's not my thing, but it's about what are we looking for? And like Holly's highlighted, females in utilities aren't on LinkedIn. Healthcare people aren't on LinkedIn. Salespeople are on LinkedIn. Often C-level people are on LinkedIn. I still wouldn't send them an email, because that's about as useful as a chocolate teapot. I mean, LinkedIn put out its global stats report last year, and they said the response rate to an email globally was between 18 to 22%. I mean, that's like my high school maths marks. And I know that that's not good, because my parents were never happy with that. But imagine you could find an email address and you could email someone, which has got a much quicker and a much higher response rate. Like, let's stop giving LinkedIn all the power. Even if they're there, let's not message them there. It's, you know, it's stuff to think about. LinkedIn's not going to be free forever. Microsoft owns it now. Okay, so there's a master plan coming. And also think about it. Software engineers, technical professionals, coders, GitHub is their playground. They can look at other people's code. They can share code. So Stack Overflow. You know, we've got to think about these other places, and I want to just highlight some of them, and then we're going to open up the floor for questions. Some things to think about. Has anyone heard of Kaggle? So if you are recruiting data scientists or machine learning experts and you don't know about Kaggle, you're missing out. It is the biggest database. It's the biggest platform for data engineers in the world. It's a global platform. But again, people don't know about it. They don't know how to go and source on there. They stick to LinkedIn, where everyone else is looking. Meetup is massive, available in pretty much every country in the world. If I hadn't have known about Meetup when I was doing a big project for Twitter about 3 years ago, hiring in Ghana and Nigeria, I never would have been able to fill the quota that they were looking for me to source. It's incredible. Been around for 20 years, older than LinkedIn, and the most amazing communities of people where you can connect with the leaders who are doing this all because they're passionate about their space. Connect with them and tell them you recruit in their niche. Has anyone been affected, by the recent layoffs? Can you help them? YouTube, amazing. I mean, there's no surprise that it's the second biggest search engine, or the second biggest, most visited website in the world after Google. I mean, I always get amazed. I do a lot in the tech space, and these guys like look at you and they look at the floor and they're very shy and they're very nervous, yet they've got their own YouTube channel, right? So it's amazing what you find on YouTube. You can find nurses who are being interviewed. You can find utilities people that have been interviewed on the news, that have been interviewed by consumers. Like, it's incredible. And YouTube is owned by
Google.
Exactly. Is Google easy to search? Oh, yes. Is YouTube easy to search on? Oh, yes. So, guys, it's a wasted opportunity if you're not there. Dev is like the new LinkedIn for software engineers. So Dev is a great place to go and find coders, programmers. They've all fled LinkedIn and they're doing exactly the same thing on their own platform because recruiters have just harassed them. And then we've got the new kid on the block. We've got Threads. Took a whole 5 hours to sign up its first 1 million users. Okay. What about that? What do we know about it? Can we source? Can we X-ray into it? Because it's kind of, flavor of the month at the moment. Reddit is also amazing. Very big in the US. Very difficult to get your head around. You have to go and play around with it. I do encourage you to do that. But incredible place to go and find talent. And again, no one else is looking there. So you potentially are going to find people who are not dealing with recruiters. They're not already like, oh my God, I can't get another email from a recruiter or another phone call. They're going to be yours. Another big one is events. Try and find the events in your space. Who's speaking at them? Like Holly said, she attends conferences. What a great way to network. But who's there? Who's speaking? Who's on stage? Even better, who's telling us that they're there by using the hashtag for the event? Every event's a big conference as a hashtag. So go and follow the hashtag on any platform. Facebook, X, Instagram. And anyone who's posting, hey, look at me, I'm there. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen it. I don't know why people do it, but they always want a photograph of their lanyard and their name and the company and stuff. Beautiful. Okay, yeah, keep them coming because I'm just taking names. And that's what it's all about. It's about looking in different places. So we have the whole internet, yet all I hear from especially my clients in the UK, CV library, Monster, LinkedIn. I'm paying a fortune for LinkedIn Recruiter. It's all I hear. And I'm like, well, we got to expand our horizons. So let's open up for some questions. So what's your niche? Let's discuss where you should be looking, because you're potentially wasting a lot of time in the wrong place. So you can put it in Slido, put it in the chat, you can unmute yourself. My niche is sales. I would say that it's not the best place. I'd say it's a good place, but I'd say the internet is the best place. Where salespeople stand out for me is they always want to be, they have those big extrovert personalities. They always want to be the people on the stage talking. I was at a conference today in Johannesburg, and when I arrived, it was just, I just looked at the lineup and it was just salespeople. So conferences, to be honest with you, are a great place to find salespeople. Also things like people winning sales awards. You don't always see that on LinkedIn, but you see it a lot on company pages on Facebook. Look, who's won the Salesforce Salesperson of the Year. Okay, those are great places to hit up. I've got another one coming through, accountancy and finance. Sure, now these guys are normally the antisocial ones, hey, Matt. But even if people are antisocial, they want to keep in touch with their friends and family, I would always look at a Facebook on this. I would also look at a LinkedIn. I'd also look at conferences. I'd also look at qualifications. They've got SEMA or whatever it is that you're looking for. Many different ways to skin a cat there. Holly talks about podcasts, conferences, networking events. Love it. All over it. COVID's gone. Get out the house. Go and meet people. Love it. Love it. Food ingredients internationally, C-level, B2B food ingredients. Sure, that's interesting. Mike, do you know what? Where I find a lot of people like this in the food industry is Pinterest, because they're all foodies. They all love the look of food and what are people putting up there. Pinterest is an amazing site to go and find people in the food industry. Okay, I could go on. I've also got groups, Facebook events, Facebook, Insta, YouTube. Has anyone got a specific question that they want to ask me about? What are they looking at? Don, life science executives. Well, I'm married to a professor of life sciences. Would you like his CV? But they're also quite difficult. I mean, but one of my favorite places to go and look is, especially if you're looking for those masters and PhD people. I mean, there's loads of places. I know a lot of these from my husband. Orchard, there's a Google Scholar. There's another one called Research Rabbit. And all of these people, because they have their masters and PhD, they actually have to put their publications online. And then they can show other people that they've connected with to write these publications. I love that kind of recruiting. Academia, very cool. Next one, how do you recruit on IG? Same way, Adonis, you've got to learn the skill of how to write Boolean and how to X-ray, because you can use that to X-ray into any platform. And for sites like Instagram and Facebook, they're very difficult to search on the platform. Thanks, Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. He's locked down all of the privacy settings in the background. It keeps getting more difficult. But Boolean, search string, I've got training on this online. I don't want to be too salesy, but you've got to learn that skill, because that's going to help you you can crack into any site. And that for me is amazing. Does anyone want to unmute and ask any questions at this point?
Yeah, in fact, what I'll do, Vanessa, I'll go around the room and ask a few people. Richard, I'll come to you next. Richard Washington, then Paul Foster for your thoughts, feedback, and observations. Richard.
Yeah, so excellent training. I will hold my hand up and say that I'm 100% LinkedIn. I dislike job boards and really love LinkedIn and been very successful, but I'm stuck at a certain level and I've made money doing contingent, so I have to broaden my horizons. And I think YouTube's a massive one for me. Just because.
What do you recruit?
SaaS sales leaders and salespeople. And one of my friends who works in a big social media agency, they get training from YouTube directly, and they said they're going to do a massive drive around podcasts and shorts, and TikTok's doing a massive drive around the business side of TikTok. So I think getting the little snippets of who you are and what you talk about onto those platforms is something that I've got on my list of things to do. I'm just going to blooming well do it.
You just have to do it, Richard. I mean, TikTok, I've actually embraced TikTok as well. And it's actually a very fun platform. I enjoy making the short snippet videos. And the nice thing is, once you made the video, throw that onto your Instagram and your Facebook reels and stories. It's amazing. I mean, we're in the process of moving. And when I was at the other house, which is much more beautiful, it's at the beach, I was doing loads of videos because there were whales breaching and dolphins. Now that I'm back in the city, I've calmed down a bit. But people have said to me over the last 2 weeks, where have you been? We haven't seen your videos. So they don't always comment, they don't always, interact with it, but they're definitely watching it. And that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Thanks, Richard. Paul Foster, thoughts, feedback, observations? I'd be interested for everybody, actually, your biggest takeaway from today, because I think there's been some absolute gems here. So you can make a note of your biggest takeaway. But first of all, Paul, your thoughts, feedback, and observations.
Yeah, I think in terms of, it's been really insightful. It's one of those things, isn't it? You hear about the different type of platforms, but I think we always get drawn back to LinkedIn. They don't even why they charge a fortune.
They've made it too easy. It's basically like online CVs. It's too easy. They're responsible for dumbing down our industry. We should be more creative in the way we're looking.
Yeah, for example, I search for commercial leaders, and even the clients I work with they're on YouTube. That's where they are. So it makes sense. But I've never used it to search for anyone. It's ridiculous. So it's just a good slap in the face, Vanessa, of what we should be doing, which is exactly. I was going to ask, are we going to go on? Are we going to go on to X-rays, or is that another?
Not going to have time for that today. That's a whole other process.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Should I finish point number 3 and then we can just open up to finish with questions?
Yeah, good idea, Vanessa. Yeah, over to you.
Okay, so basically we've now, if you look at the process, we look good online. All of these 3 points talk to each other. They're all interwoven. You can't get 2 right because then you're going to fail on the 3rd one. Like, you have to focus on all 3 areas. I'm adamant about this. So you've now got your good online brand. You found candidates that aren't already dealing with recruiters. They are not hanging out on LinkedIn. No one else is finding them. Now, kind of, what are you going to say? So first of all, we don't send an email, waste of time. We're going to find email addresses. We're going to find contact details. We're going to use Chrome extensions. And we're going to stand out, because look what happens when you Google recruiters are. And this is unfortunate, but it's the truth, because our industry's got such a low barrier to entry. So people come into the industry and they really mess it up. They give all of us a bad name. We get lumped in with the estate agents, the secondhand car salesmen, all of those things. But we can change this. And I actually quite like this because it gives me a bit of a challenge. It's so easy to stand out in a world of bad recruiters. Just be a slightly good recruiter. Just be above average. And you got to be styling. Yeah, Paul, when next time you're feeling down, don't look at this. And the main reason is because of this whole ghosting thing. Now, we all know very well candidates ghost us all the time. Like, you get into recruitment, I love people, I want to help people, and 3 months later you're like, I'm so over people, I can't be doing this. Yeah, try lawyers. Exactly, Don. Now the situation is that we can't turn around and sour grapes start telling everyone, yeah, but our candidates ghost us too. Okay, we just got to kind of suck it up. And that's why we have the reputation that we have, is for ghosting. So if you just get back to everyone, give them a bit of advice, sort your CV out, it's shocking kind of thing, or send their CV to another person who deals in that space. What a positive experience they've had with you. In a world full of shoddy recruiters, you've actually taken the time to help them. Be that person. Okay? I know we're busy, but be that recruiter. So pretty much what we've got to do is we've got to start thinking a lot more, especially in this world of AI. I've actually delivered 2 workshops today on AI, so it's all in my head. AI is coming. It's here. People are using it. You've all seen those LinkedIn posts and you've looked at them and you thought, you don't speak like that. You didn't write that. You've all got those emails. So we need to stand out in our community and our network. So we can be much more of a strategic business partner to our clients if we have the network first. So they come to you because you have the best lawyer network. They come to you because they know that you specialize in the sales space. And that's what you want. Because if you only start recruiting when a client gets in touch with you and says, I need one of these, someone else who's got the network's beating you, because they've already got those people that they speak to regularly. They're in a group somewhere, they're communicating with them regularly, they're being consistent, they're turning up. So that's what we have to work harder at, is building relationships with clients and candidates. So a couple of things that we do in this industry that we need to change. Now, you have to get your personalization right. So sending a template is okay if it's a 60% template. So some things are not going to change. Client information about the role, but the personalization comes in with why this is a good role for you, Peter. Or, Peter, I saw that you've recently done this certification. We need someone like you because we value that certification. Or we've got a company soccer team and we see that you're a soccer fan and we'd love to get you into the team. And again, you don't know that by looking at someone on LinkedIn. Where's your personalization? If the person is not sitting up the recipient of the first outreach message and saying, wow, Vanessa's really done her homework on me. This couldn't have been sent to everyone else that I know in the industry. This is great. You're going to get a response. It could be a no for now, but thank you for a wonderful message. It could be, I'm finishing a contract. Can we chat in 2 months? But you're getting a response. Because there's nothing more soul destroying than all of the emails that we send out and this massive spray and pray approach and hearing back from no one. Okay, we need to get better at that. Another thing we need to get better at is saying to candidates, can I call you on Wednesday morning at 10? Because the immediate thought from candidates is, oh my God, another pushy recruiter, they driving the bus here. We need to go and take advantage of some of those free tools out there like Calendly. We send them the link and we say, book a time that's convenient for both of us. I cannot wait to chat with you. It sends such a different message. than you driving the process saying, I'm going to do this at that time. So the technology's there. It doesn't even cost a lot. Use it. Now, also, I know that we're all very good at this, and we send wonderful emails saying how great people are, and we need them on the team. But it doesn't help when in the last paragraph we turn around and say, and if you're not interested, please just send it onto your network. Because what do candidates think? Oh, I'm not special. You didn't want me. Or they think, why do recruiters always ask me to do their job for them? So we've got to stop that unless we know the person and we've got a relationship with them. Because it sends, again, the wrong message. And my personal favorite of what we got to stop is starting your messages, especially with an email. And I got one this morning with, I came across your profile on LinkedIn. Like, no shit, you're sending me an email from LinkedIn. That's how you're going to take advantage of your opening paragraph. So also other things that candidates, if you go and read on like Reddit, there's a whole subreddit called Recruiting Hell, where people copy and paste outreach messages from recruiters. That is really shocking. I've got some of them in my training. But things like, I hope this message finds you well. Can we stop doing that, please? Can we rather just ask the question, talk about the weather? I mean, that's what you guys do in the UK. Talk about how wonderful the weather is, okay? It's got to do that. Okay, so a couple more things and then we're opening it up. Guys, every single email, I will bet my bottom dollar, which isn't a lot when you're moving home. I'm going to bet my bottom dollar that every email in your inbox right now is in black and white. Every single one. The only bit of color might be a signature. So why do we insist on sending all of our emails in black and white? Why don't we highlight a paragraph? Why don't we highlight a phrase? Okay, why don't we liven it up a bit? Why don't we use the bold? Why don't we use bullet points? Why don't we make it look interesting? Because no one reads those big chunks of text. Okay, so that's the first thing to think about. Color also brings out emotions, which is important. Also, if you're in the right space, salespeople normally have good senses of humor. I wouldn't send this to a beanie, but use means, okay? If you're going to say, my name's Vanessa, I hyperlink Vanessa to my LinkedIn. They can find me on pretty much any social platform out there, but I want them to look at my LinkedIn first, because that's the one that I'm the proudest about, okay? Also, your signature. The bottom of my signature, it says, this email was sent at a convenient time for me. Please respond at a convenient time for you, because I work across every time zone in the world. So it's just show you're not a pushy recruiter. You're a human being. You understand life happens. And there's so many ways that you can do that. I don't know if I want to answer your question shortly. I just want to finish this section. And the biggest thing is we don't often get our hooks right. When you are messaging top talent that are perfectly happy in their roles, because let's face it, we're all executive headhunters these days. No one's really on the market. We need to make sure we have our hooks in place. So what are we going to say to these people to make sure that this opportunity, they're not going to get at their current company? So something like, if you join us, you're going to be the first, whatever it might be, and you're going to build a team. Someone sitting in a corporate or an enterprise can't do that, right? It could be, we're a smaller team, we're a startup, we're a scale up. It's interesting. Come and influence the direction of the organization. It's not going to happen if you work at Lloyd's or HSBC, right? So think about, what are the positives? What are those hooks? Also, we're going to teach you something new. Sure, you work in the SaaS space, but what about this? What about attending this conference? Okay, so it's all about what you are saying. And my final point before we open it up is your number of emails. Because what is happening at the moment, recruiters are not thinking like marketers. Marketers send you lots of email with little bits of information, don't they? Recruiters spend half an hour writing this beautiful long email that's TLDR, too long, didn't read, okay? Putting everything into one email, and then our only comeback after that, our second and third emails is, did you get my first email? That whole passive aggressive follow-up. Took me a long time to send you that email. Have you responded? Have you thought about it? But if you think like a marketer, your first email could be about the client. Your second one could be why it's a good career move. Your third one could be how you found him. You listened to a podcast, you wanted to ask him some questions. But we don't do that because we stack everything into that first email, which is wrong because people don't read their emails. Because look at the response rates. The more emails you send in an email campaign or a sequence, the higher your response rate. And the most important thing here, and I put people in 5 or 6 email campaigns because I'm really persistent, is you break up with them at the end. I call that my dear John. You say, I see you're really quite happy with what you're doing at the moment. This is my last email from you. I'm breaking up. Okay, stay in touch. And choose Bob, that's the one they're going to respond to. Every single time, 2 weeks later, someone's going to say, oh, I've really enjoyed these. Should we have a chat? Always happens. So guys, we're going to skip past this question because I'm going to open up the floor for questions. Here are my contact details if you want anything from me. I've already got a question in the chat. Let me answer it quickly. How do you approach someone on YouTube differently than LinkedIn typically? A lot easier. Because if you saw them on YouTube, you've hopefully watched their video and say, hey, I stumbled across your video on YouTube. I really like this and this. I have a few questions about this. Would you be open to a conversation? So it's a hell of a lot easier than reaching out to someone that I just see on LinkedIn. And I can see the last time they visited LinkedIn was 12 months ago. So it's a much easier message that I'm sending to someone when I found them off LinkedIn.
Excellent. Vanessa, would you mind putting your contact details in the chat so people can reach out?
Sure, I'm going to do that now. And I'm also going to put in a link to, I've got some free training as mentioned in my academy. There it is.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Into the chat. Go and sign up, share it with your teams. I'm not precious about stuff like that. Sign up, send everyone. Let's all get learning. I think that that's important. Let me just quickly put in my email address. You're welcome to pop me a mail. There we go. And yeah, that's probably, I mean, if you just Google Vanessa Roth, you'll find me too.
Yeah, I've got a question. I've got a question,
yes,
and then I want to go to Don and Marta. Just you said about the Boolean search. Is it exactly the same method that you would use on Google, where you put the and and not? Is it the same process on all platforms for the Boolean search when looking for candidates?
Well, remember your starting point. You're always going to start from a search engine, and you've got 35 search engines. It doesn't have to be Google. And Boolean's changed, so there's no longer an and the not has been replaced by a minus. So it's difficult to say, you know. Okay. So if you're using old Boolean, it's not going to work. Boolean does update and change, and it works differently on different platforms. Like the Boolean you use on a LinkedIn recruiter is different to what you use from a search engine.
Okay, I'm of the generation. I actually know George Boole, I think his name is. From the 19th century, so it gives some idea how long ago I was using it.
I was about to say, sure, that's pretty incredible, considering you died many years ago.
That's right, yeah. No, okay, that answers that. And the other question, I'll come to Don. Love to get your thoughts, feedback, and observations, and then Martin. Anybody else got any questions? Please let me know. Don.
Yeah, this was a really great presentation, Vanessa. Really appreciate your time spending with us today. Just a couple of reinforcement things and maybe a couple of quick questions. You know, this was a client campaign, but we found a number of our ideal client profiles are actually not on LinkedIn, which was a real eye-opener. I think just to reinforce the idea from a client point of view, as opposed to maybe necessarily candidate side, that we all think all the CEOs of biotech companies are on LinkedIn. Well, they're not. And I have data to prove it. So,
but you don't know until you search that somewhere else, right? So Don, thanks for highlighting that.
They don't have a LinkedIn profile. Very good.
They don't. They don't.
Love the phishing.
They spend all day in the lab. You know, when people were signing up to LinkedIn, they were lab rats.
Yeah. You know, so some do, some don't. Love the phishing analogy earlier. We actually wrote a blog post that was synchronous with what you were saying. Two quick questions, hopefully. One is, you mentioned, really like the idea of the color coding the emails, the email series, if you will, that goes out, and the customization aspects to candidates. The question is technically around the deliverability. I think some of us have had, I know I have in the past, and I see things on our group chat about deliverability. the email. That's the bottom line. If your email never reaches me, it doesn't matter if it has a meme or a nice color. So how do you navigate, you know, the number of links that might be put in an email, for instance, and that kind of thing?
So this is something that I've recently realized is actually a very complex thing, getting your emails delivered, because I had a couple of situations beginning of this year, especially when I launched my academy and I was sending emails to people telling them about it, and then people were logging in, and then you'll see you get emailed your username and login, and those emails weren't being delivered. I've actually employed a third-party company that go and check something on your email that's called your DMARC, and they actually check. Because if you've been spamming people, and a lot of recruiters do this, you're sending 50 emails in the morning, you're sending 50 in the afternoon, and people start declining those emails and saying, actually, bugger off, I'm not interested, you know, those kind of things. It affects your ranking. And if your ranking and your rating is low on that particular email address, you need to work quite hard to improve it. So I used a company here in South Africa, and they have got all of the certifications and everything in my email in the background correct. And I have not had one complaint for about 6 weeks now that, oh, we didn't get our username and logins for your academy. So I would actually get someone to do a health check on your domain, because it is linked to how many times people have declined your messages.
Right. That's great. Thanks. One last quick question, I hope. There used to be, and I'm dating myself a bit here because I do still occasionally write Boolean search strings in Google, but there used to be a Boolean content generator. I confess I haven't looked at it in some time, but are there tools? I guess the question is, are there Boolean content generation tools that are still kind of out there to help people form? I know we didn't get into that deeply today, but there used to be something that's at the top of mind that you could just use to
So Don, yes, there are tools out there. I mean, I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to Boolean. I think it's easy enough to write your own. I don't love the tools that these generate, but you know, if you kind of just starting out and you on your Boolean journey, I mean, ChatGPT can even sort of do it for you. They don't always get it right. It's very hit and miss. But maybe the one that you're thinking about is Recruitment. Recruitment is a website that you can look at, but as I say, it's not always 100% accurate. Mark, yes, email delivery tool, that is Mail Tester. It used to be free, now it's got a charge on it. I don't know why they did that, but there are other free tools that you can use out there. But I would still get that health check done, because for me, that's made the biggest difference on email deliverability.
Great, thank you.
Pleasure, Don. Good questions.
Thanks, Don. It's a great question there. Thank you. Marta, love to get your thoughts, feedback, observations. And then Rob.
I'm in a noisy cafe, but it was amazing, Vanessa. I was shocked here that LinkedIn isn't the be all and end all, but I feast on LinkedIn day in and day out, and I'm thinking this is the only place where we should be shopping in. So now you've debunked that.
Now I've debunked that. Well, listen, stay in touch. I've just put my LinkedIn profile link into the meeting chat. Connect with me and then tell me when you find people who aren't actually on LinkedIn and you found them elsewhere, because this is what's going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
Because we've never thought of that before.
No, Facebook. I mean, I would never have thought of Facebook.
3 billion people.
Yeah, I don't have a question as of yet. It was just so interesting. I think I spent my time just floored that it wasn't LinkedIn. So thank you.
Pleasure. Anytime.
Thanks, Martha. And can you appreciate the advantage you have over your competitors? And some of the data that Vanessa gave us there, where 30% of the market are passive. If you're only using LinkedIn, and your competitors are only using LinkedIn, and if you want another reason why a client should engage with you on the retained basis, because you're not going to do what all the other recruiters are doing.
100%.
You just stand above the crowd. When they say, why would I use you rather than working with your competitors?
I can't
kind of
believe
a
that
no-
so many agencies like win work out there. Like I'm always like, what do you tell your clients? You're going to tell them that you're going to go and look at exactly the same place as the other 5 agencies they use and their internal talent acquisition team. Imagine you could say, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and write a Boolean search ring. I'm going to X-ray. What do you want? Data scientists? Okay, I'm going to use a site called Kaggle because that's where I'm finding the best data scientists. Your client might even be like, either wow, you know about Kaggle, or you're going to teach them something new.
That's right. We used to work with a recruiter, Simon, if you remember him, Mike. And his presentation for getting retained was he would say, look, this is the percentage of candidates who are on LinkedIn, but this is where the other percentage of your candidates are. But my competitors are only going to use LinkedIn. Now, if you want to work with them, that's fine. But this is what we do. And he would list all the other platforms that he was
And
going
if
to
you
use.
want those stats, there's a fantastic website called napoleoncat.com. And it gives you all of the statistics, country by country, of how many people are on the different platforms.
Could you put that in the chat there, please?
Yeah, let me actually find it quickly, and then I can pop it into the chat.
Awesome, that's great. Rob, can I just come to you very quickly? Then you, Perry, for your thoughts, feedback, and observations. You there, Rob?
Yes.
Hello,
yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, can indeed. Yeah. I'd love to hear your thoughts, feedback, and observations.
Yes. My system's not been very well. I can't get my video on, I don't think.
Yeah, you're on. You're on, Rob.
Actually, I only caught the end of this, but I will watch the recording of it. But the bit I caught was about the email and the email side of it. This is something that I'm really interested in at the moment, because like a lot of recruitment companies, we've got a database of about 170,000 people. And those people are candidates or clients. And I really believe we need to be messaging those people much more than we are historically. And your point about the marketing of that, looking at it from a marketing perspective, is absolutely, I think, what we
think about
need
where
to do.
you're messaging them. That's a big one. Like, where do your people like to hang out? And if you want to know, send them an email, send them a poll. Like, where do you spend all of your time? Where do you spend most of your time? And build your community there, so it's easy for them because they're there already.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, linking what you're saying to what Terry does, and what Terry said is, I think we overthink the content and the messages, and I think we've got to really simplify it. And actually just get much more out there with some very simple questions, and you're corroborating that, I think.
100%. It's like Richard saying, I just know I've got to do it. I've got to put some short form video out there. Richard, just do it. And that's what I did. As soon as I just took the plunge, that you do it, and the feedback's amazing. So you're right, Rob. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
And again, what you said, Vanessa, about your brand when you're reaching out to candidates, and we talk about this all the time when you're reaching out to potential clients as well. If you're a complete stranger and you don't check out, this is what we're constantly talking about. People are going to check you out. So exactly the same. Some great stuff.
Can I just say one thing, Terry?
Yeah, please,
say one thing, and very simply, that of all those people on our database, we don't know whether they're a candidate or whether they're a client, do we? We don't know whether they're a referrer, whether they've got intelligence. We don't know anything. And I think we distinguish. We say they're candidates, and we look at LinkedIn and we say they're clients, but actually they're all the same. We don't know what they are until we engage with them.
100%.
Yeah,
it's a network.
Point. Yeah.
It's engaging with a network, because it's going to be made up of clients and candidates.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Perry, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah, no, I think it's great, isn't it, really? I mean, I know, obviously, Terry, you teach a lot of it about, hanging out where your clients hang out. But I suppose, your candidates might not hang out where your clients hang out. They might do, like you've just said, candidates could be your clients and stuff. But it is being everywhere, isn't it? There is stuff like, I know, Terry, you've mentioned a number of times on Facebook groups, and the amount of Facebook groups there is compared to LinkedIn groups and all that stuff. But yeah, it's stuff that I think if you look at your own personal profiles, the only thing I'm not on is TikTok, because I think that's taken over by the Chinese, but that's a different story. It
wasn't taken over by them, it was created by them.
Yeah. But I suppose there's other things that we're all like. But I'm we're all on social media, and when you think, you know, what do we all do in our evenings? You know, everyone knows about my screen time. Michelle's grasped me in plenty of times. So, you know, it is true. You know, we all do spend time on Facebook just scrolling through. I mean, we were only joking yesterday in the office around the fact of all these people that have posted picture their kids joining schools and whatever else, and we all, yeah, well, that's it. We all had a competition yesterday in the office. How long did it take you? How many posts did it take you to find one? And funny enough, it was the first post on every single one of us. I mean, and the first two were actually sponsored adverts or pushed adverts, and then the third one was a picture of someone's kid. Funny enough, mine was my own kids, but I won't get into that conversation. But yeah, but I think, you know, it's true to say it is hanging out where your candidates are hanging out, and just talking to them constantly through, you know, not physically talking to them, but as you say, sharing things that they'll find interesting. I mean, to be fair, I didn't even think about it. I'm in a Telegram group. We've got a Telegram group for my network across the whole world. And there's different groups in there for different technologies and different things and different skill sets are in there. And I actually come off it because it used to do my head in, pinging on it and whatever else, and people used to put some right rubbish. But actually, I should be on. That's the first place I should be, because
switch off all your notifications on all your social media. My phone doesn't ever make a noise. I don't even know if it. I only will put up the volume if I'm listening to like a voice note or something, because that's the first trick. And also be very strict with your smartphone. Like if you're finishing work at 5 or 6 or whatever it is, then you're done with your phone.
Yeah.
Doom scrolling on Facebook does no one any favors.
It's very true. And I can be very guilty for it, but yeah, it is true. Happy days. No, thank you.
Thanks, Perry.
Excellent. Thanks, Perry. If anybody's got any questions, please put them in the chat box. Vanessa, that was absolutely fantastic. Really appreciated that. Yeah, exceeded all my expectations. Please reach out to Vanessa via LinkedIn. Please click on those links. She's got some free resources for you. There's no cost, there's no obligation. Grab hold of some of those free resources. You know, if you haven't used Boolean Link, I would really encourage you to be doing that and discover how you can do it. Donis, you asked a few questions about how to use it on YouTube and other platforms. Reach out to those links on there, and Vanessa can show you how. It's difficult to do it in a setting such as this. Vanessa, would you mind just reading out the address? This is for the recording, just in case people can't see. Can you read out the address for where they can get hold of you or get hold of those free stuff that you?
Sure. So basically, my email is van@vanessarath.com, and my website is academy.vanessarath.com. As you can see, Mark, I do everything under my name. And if you my general username or handle is @van_Rath, and you can find me on pretty much any platform there. So yeah,
fantastic.
Give me a shout. Happy to help. I mean, the one of the first things that I learned, my parting thought, is that in the recruitment industry, he or she who has candidate is king. So if you've got the best candidate, you're going to make the placement. There's no two ways about it. And that's what we've got to get better at, is making sure we've got the best 100% focused candidates in our back pocket.
Really fantastic. Again, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Vanessa, another big, massive thank you. Do you mind staying on afterwards, Vanessa? I'm going to have a quick word with you afterwards. Everybody else, thank you for joining us.
After class.
Until next time, folks, take care, take action, be relentless. Cheers, folks. See you on Monday.